So, I'd like to welcome you guys out tonight. Thanks for taking time out of your week to hang out with us for about an hour or so. I have been buying and selling real estate since 1998. I was living in Southern California, teaching high school, and heard about a duplex that I could buy in Hemet, California for $100,000. And I didn't know anything about mortgages. I didn't know anything about real estate, but I had seen an infomercial from a guy named Carlton Sheets. I don't know if any of you guys remember him. And he had talked about doing no money down deals. And so I got on eBay and bought his, because I didn't want to spend the $300 for his course, I got on eBay and bought the cassette tape version from 5 years before. So that would have been like 1993, right?
You were on a teacher's salary, it makes sense.
I was on a teacher's salary, yeah, which in California was like $33,000 a year. And oh, that's my phone. Yeah, thanks. So the volume button's on the side. So got the cassette tape, started listening to him, and realized how little I still knew about real estate. But I had it in my mind that I wanted to do a no money down deal. So I had a friend who I'd played golf with a couple times who was a mortgage broker. And I said, hey man, how do I get a loan? And he said, well, actually, you have good credit, and you're teaching high school, so you have a good W-2 income, and you don't really have a lot of debt. So really what you're going to need, though, is 3% down and about a couple grand for closing costs. So I started looking around, and I found there's this area called Hemet, which was about 30-40 minutes east of where we lived in Temecula. And for those of you who know Southern California, Hemet to Temecula is like Hawville to Carmel, right? And so it was a big difference. So my wife wasn't too happy about going to live in a duplex in Hemet. And I said, but if we lived in this duplex, I'm kind of looking at the numbers. I have this calculator I got from Carlton Sheets. And the way I figure, our mortgage is only going to be about $600 a month, and then taxes and insurance and everything will be about $760, $770, and just rent from one side of the duplex is $750. So we could be living for free, like this epiphany, okay? And my wife was like, well, yeah, but it's Hemet. Like, it's Hemet. Like, she couldn't get past that. So I started brainstorming, how do I get this 10 grand? How do I buy this duplex? And I had never had to, I was working on a master's degree at that point, and until then I had never had to borrow money for school. So I was fortunate when I did my bachelor's degree that I was able to work through college and pay for it all myself. And I was working on my master's degree and was doing the same thing. I was bartending on the weekends and teaching high school and just paying for it as I went. And I thought, you know what? I wonder what I could get for student loans. So I rolled into financial aid for the first time in my educational career and sat down and said, I need some student loan money. And 3 hours later, I walked out concerned because she gave me this stern lecture about how you can't use your student loan money for a down payment and closing costs on a duplex. Right? So I went home and rethought it, and I said, but wait a minute. If I borrow 10 grand from student loan money and it's mixed with my paychecks from teaching high school, and I'm willing to teach high school full-time and go to school full-time to qualify for the money, what's the big deal? It's all going to the same account. They just give you a check when you get student loan money, right? So I go back to financial aid the next time, 2 days later when I have class, and I kind of look in the office, and it's a different lady. So I go in and I sit down with her and I say across from her, I said, I need student loan money to help pay for my tuition and books. Okay? And then it was like the Golden Gates opened and the red carpet was rolled out, and the next thing I knew, I had, within a couple of months, I started getting these checks. So the first check was for like $14,000, and that was enough for the down payment money, the closing costs, and there was like $4,000 extra to use for rehab on the side of the duplex I wasn't going to live in. So we closed on the property and used that money to fix up the other side of the duplex and rented it out. And when I got that first rent check and was able to pay that first mortgage payment and pay for, because they counted all my taxes and insurance, that's when a light bulb went off in my head. Now, it turned into a spotlight 6 months later when I sold that duplex for $175,000. and after closing costs and everything, had a check for 50 grand. That's when I thought, man, this is really cool. Why am I doing a master's in business and they're not teaching this? Why is this flipping thing not a class? And that's when I really started to catch on fire with real estate. And so between 1998 and 2004, I ended up flipping probably another 70 properties and got into everything from trailer parks to apartment complexes and single family homes. And what was really lucky for me was that I bought that first property, it was like in 1999. And for those of you who don't know, the California real estate market between 1999 and 2006, and specifically the Riverside County California real estate market, was the fastest appreciating market in the country for that time period. There were months where properties were going up 6% in value. So last month it was worth 100 grand, this month it's worth 106,000. Next month it's worth 113,000. It was ridiculous. And what was funny to me was I just thought that's how real estate worked, right? Because I didn't know shit about it before we started. And it was so funny because I started at, let's say 2003, 4, I'm like on deal number 45. I started to have expectations that it would continue to grow that way. So I remember buying a house for $80,000 and holding it for a year and being really upset that appraiser, even though I hadn't done anything to the house, wouldn't appreciate it 50% higher in value. I'd like, it should be 120. I've almost held it for a year. I haven't held any properties for a year. And so my reality was really just based on this ridiculously appreciating market. And so obviously, after 2006, the market crashed and values went in the toilet. And it's been really interesting because I was fortunate enough to have a father who was actually a hard money lender. And for those of you who don't know what that is, he and his partners had put together about $40 million worth of money, and they were lending it out to investors like myself, who had more experience than myself, to do real estate deals. And I remember saying to my dad, when I did that first flip on that duplex, I could have just come to you to borrow the money. And he's like, no, you couldn't. We wouldn't loan any money to you. You didn't know what the hell you're doing. And I'm like, that's true. I didn't even really understand what you did. I knew you guys did investments, but I wasn't really sure what it was. History. Yeah, ironic, right? You think I would have had like property value history over the time, but I was just, my emphasis was Civil War. So it was all about the battles and not about the trends. So it gives you a little background on me, but it was funny because right around 2004, I started to notice some weird things going on in the California real estate market. And what I noticed was that same duplex that I had bought for $100K in '99, by 2004, it sold for $350,000. And how much do you think their monthly rent was at that point? It was still $1,500, right? So if the investor who would have bought it in '99 was looking at making, 11 to maybe 14% interest on their money if they would have bought it cash, and this guy was looking at making 3, 4%. And that's when I thought, I'm scared to buy another round of properties. Because what am I going to buy the next round at 4% and sell at 1%? And it was at that point that I said, I have to retrench. And so I sold all the properties that I had. And after money that I had spent on my house and cars and kids, and I had all put together just over $1 million. And I thought, I need to go put this in a market that I can protect it. And my dad, who was doing loans all over the country, said, it's funny you say that because the best real estate in the real estate market in the country, if you want to just protect your money and earn it off of rent, is Indianapolis. I'm like, but Dad, you grew up in Indy. That's Grandma and Grandpa and the State Fair and Conner Prairie or whatever the hell it's called. What is it?
Conner Ferry.
Conner Ferry, right. I said, those are my memories of Indianapolis. And he's like, I'm telling you, Indianapolis is the best cash flow market in the country. And if you were smart, you'd take all that money, get out of the craps game you've been playing, the appreciation roller coaster, and park it and make your money off of rents. And I trusted my dad because he made a ton of money. And so I did that. And I took all that money that I had made between '99 and 2004 and came here. And 2,000 properties later, here we are.